And we are live. I thought I told you that we won't stop. Back again, people. What's up? Good evening, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gym of Crypto, episode 540. I'm King, here to bridge the gap between community and crypto, now Monday through Friday, of course, when we can, as these times change. And today's top stories: Bitpay restores service to all Bitcoin wallets to drive mainstream adoption. Hackers stole and encrypted data of 5 U.S. law firms and demand 2 crypto ransoms. Currencies cuts an additional 14% of staff, aims to split. And Blockone puts $200,000 up for grabs and Puzzle Smart Contract Challenge. So not a lot of craziness going on, but before we get into news, of course, let's go ahead and check out these prices. And of course, I forgot to bring up the price screen, so let me work on doing that. And while I do that, let's go ahead and look at, here we go. Bitcoin's price is coming in at 9,182, down 1.48% on 24-hour clock. Ethereum's at $188.91, down 1.04%. Ripple has been all the news lately. I keep telling you all, it's a tradable asset still, and to be honest, I may or may not have jumped on it when it dipped a little low. So Ripple is at 27 cents, up 5%. Of course, I don't know. We can expect to see this growth continue to happen as everything else is in the red, but we'll continue to watch it. Bitcoin Cash is down $380 to $380, down 1.63%. Litecoin's at $68, down 2.91%, and EOS is down 0.72% at $4.21. So, yeah, a lot of the coins we're seeing red, but again, Ripple's trying to make its pump. I know a lot of people has been excited and talking about it, so of course, can't wait to see what happens with that. What's going on, Tesla Hall? Yes, on late today. It was running around all morning, but I wanted to make sure we still brought that crypto news in this evening. All right, as I said, top story: Bitpay restores service to all Bitcoin wallets to drive mainstream adoption. Looks like the leading provider of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency payment services, Bitpay, announced on February 4th that the company will soon allow invoices to be paid from any Bitcoin wallet or exchange. Bitpay CEO Stephen Parr told Cointelegraph that the decision to enable merchant payments from any Bitcoin wallet, you see how they left that off again, this is merchant payments, to enable merchant payments from any Bitcoin wallet was driven by merchant feedback, putting control back in the hands of over 30,000 active merchants currently using Bitpay. Quote, Bitpay's customers want to support all the Bitcoin wallets just like they want to support all cryptocurrency for payments. The company has decided to re-enable support for all wallets, which is referred to as plain vanilla peer-to-peer transactions. All right, I'm sorry. I hate to be the negative Nancy in the room, but I say no. No. Bitpay made their decision a couple years ago, or about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I guess two and a half years ago, 2017, 2018, officially. They made their decision to stop servicing merchants, your everyday retail merchants, your mom and pops. They decided they only wanted to accept money from big institutions and organizations. And again, I remember when we talked about this, I said I don't blame them when it comes to regulations. Why would you want 1 million mom and pops and each one of those are going to be heavily regulated? We can just go over to the credit side and get 10 of those and it'll probably equal the same, if not more money as far as your business goes. So I'm not faulting Bitpay for doing that. But you are crazy to think all of a sudden in February 2020, Bitpay is like, hey, I know we went away from all those merchant wallets out the blue. And I take this very personal because we were one of those merchant wallets. They went ahead and shut down our account for no reason. But yeah, they went away from everybody. It looks like, as they said, 30,000 in total, which I didn't realize it was that many. And now they're saying, hey, we're back, guys, because our game plan is to let you all back on board so we can drive mainstream adoption. Come on. I mean, again, my beef with a lot of these companies, organizations is why the lies? Like, why the lies? Just come on, tell the truth. We thought we could make more money the other way. We kind of did initially. Then the market and the volume dried up. Bear market occurred. It was longer than we thought. We lost a lot of people we thought we were going to have coming in and bringing money because they are institutions or organizations. They're kind of scared of this volatile market. Hey, it was at 20,000 when you guys were promoting this. Now it's over here at 9,000. All of a sudden, they don't want to give you that $200 million. And because of that low volume and that low business, now they're saying, hey, let's go back to these 30,000 merchants we cut off from using our wallets for no reason at all, literally, except for the fact that they're too small to play in our game. Let's go back and get all of them back on board and tell them it's to drive mainstream adoption and call it as plain as vanilla peer-to-peer transactions. It's something you never should get rid of. Again, I get it. 2017 was crazy. People had to scale. Companies were going out of business. They were cutting people. We're going to be talking about that with consensus. I mean, that's where some of that comes from. Them, they're overhiring in 2017 to support all the, the scaling of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency industry, and then the eventual bear market following the 2.5 years almost. So they're continuing to cut people, but at least they're coming out and they're saying why. They're saying, hey, these are some of the reasons why we're cutting people. These are some of the divisions they're going to. We'll talk about that story more. But here you have Bitpay trying to pull the old wool over your eyes and saying, well, we're just coming back to you all for mainstream adoption. No. To drive mainstream adoption, replace the word mainstream adoption with volume. To drive Bitpay volume that has drastically been decreased. So thanks Bitpay for coming back. I personally will not be going back to Bitpay because when I needed them most, again, during that 2017 madness when everyone needed to scale and support, and then even in 2018 when we needed them, they just cut us off. They cut us off from the tap for no reason. Again, it was very disappointing when it happened. I couldn't believe it when it happened. I mean, it was very disappointing, especially since we have been strong supporters of them, earlier than what people even knew about the company of Bitpay. I think we even had a video where we were promoting them. So it was unfortunate to see that happen, but I definitely will not be going back to Bitpay. I'm glad they're actually saying that, hey, re-enabling support of all your wallets is actually just peer-to-peer transactions. I'm happy they're saying that because hopefully these merchants can read in between the lines with this peer-to-peer transactions and realize you don't actually even need Bitpay for the most part. There are already a few different payment processors out there who will process your money straight to fiat if you want it. Again, give credit to Bitpay. They were one of the biggest and best. But again, they already made their line in the sand, which was we're not going to mess with the retail merchants. So again, for them to come back to over 30,000 active merchants, that's pretty interesting for me. Again, they're definitely not doing this for mass adoption. They're doing it because their volume is low. But either way it goes, if you decide to join back on Bitpay, it's a good service. It does work. Know that they are heavily regulated now. I mean, the government has a backdoor to them. So know that if you are going to be a merchant using them. And also know that if we have another 2017, which I think we will, they're going to drop you like a bad habit if you don't meet their minimum threshold of volume. Right now, the threshold for volume is just to have people still using Bitpay. But I guarantee you, when that price hops back up to 15 to 20,000 plus, they're going to go right back to, oh, you're only doing $100,000 in business a month or a year or whatever. Like, we can't support your business right now. We're going to have to get rid of you. They're going to knock all of those wallets right back off. So I use that as a caution because the last thing I want is for 30,000 merchants to now start using Bitpay again with their pipe dream of mainstream adoption is the reason why they're doing it. And then all of a sudden, as the price goes back up, business returns back to normal, as in was 17. All of a sudden, Bitpay cuts them off. That is what I do not want to see. So we'll continue to watch this story as we have with all the other fugazi stories that come out in this space, as always. What's going on, P-Man Van? Were they in on Segwit 2X? Initially, I don't think so. They actually talk about their Bitcoin improvement their BIP 70, the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol 70, where they do say they did make some upgrades and stuff. But again, a lot of this didn't have to. They're throwing all this extra information in there because they're trying to drive the mass adoption route, not the we cut you guys off because you're a smaller fish route. So they're throwing all these buzzwords in there. You're talking about the JSON protocol. I get it. Like everyone had to scale. Everyone had to adapt in 2017. But again, shout out to Bitpay. Their system does work. It is a good business. It's a good company. They just don't want to mess with you broke boys out there. What's going on, Crypto Don Juan, Crypto and Culture? Yo, Richard Terweem. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, from Australia. Finally got to catch us live. Thanks, man. I know, Richard, you have been around for a while. We definitely appreciate the support. All right, next story up. Hackers stole and encrypted data of 5 U.S. law firms and demand 2 crypto ransoms. This is crazy, people. If you know anything about law firms, their request for information usually has your social security number and it has all your court documents. Hopefully this isn't a law firm where you're involved in some type of criminal activity because, people are going to go to prison for real over that one, right? Which is a good thing. Hackers compromised 5 United States law firms and demanded 2 100 Bitcoin ransoms from each firm. That's over $933,000 at press time. One of those two 100 Bitcoin ransoms, is to restore access to the data, and the other one is to delete their copy instead of selling it. Oh, cold-blooded. So they want 100 Bitcoin. So they already want $1 million just to restore your access to it. They're not saying that $100 million will make us delete ours. We're just going to give you your access back. You can do what you want with your copies. We have our copies. Oh, if you want our copies to go, it's another $1 million behind. So $2 million to get it back and for them to delete it. And I mean, as I always say on this show, people, criminals are going to criminal. The scary part about this is that you have to kind of have to do it to give them something. But on the flip side, again, I know I've dealt with the hackers in this space, and this is ransomware, of course, from where this is coming from. And they generally tend to not give you your information back. When the ransomware attacks first started in early 2017 or whatever, around the world, these are worldwide attacks. When they first started, they actually were giving people their information back. If you remember, the original ransomware would lock your laptop or your phone. It would just lock the information. They wouldn't have a copy of it. It would just lock it. And they say, hey, if you ever want this to be unlocked, you pay us this ransom, usually in Bitcoin, or we just erase everything from you. And in some cases, they were able to actually retrieve your data as well. But for the most part, they were just locking it. With this new version of ransomware now, they're actually not only locking it up, but they're keeping copies of it, and then they're reselling it. I mean, they're turning this thing into an entire business. And it says here also, this guy from, it looks like this hacker group called Maze, by cybersecurity firm Emisoft, the hacker group called Maze, already started publishing part of the data stolen from the aforementioned firms. It looks like 2 of the 5 law firms were hacked within the 24 hours leading to February 1st. So again, this is where we also talk about honeypots, people. If you can hack 2 law firms within 24 hours that quick, either they had the same cybersecurity, which was probably not good, or they had honeypots set up in 2 to 5 different law firms as well, where they could do it all simultaneously. So it's kind of crazy to see that happening all at once. That does mean it was a sophisticated attack. They actually had a strategy for them to get away with 5. Looks like the hackers already published the data on 2 websites that were shared with the author of this article, but will not be released to protect the firms involved. That's pretty smart. Who's the author of this article? Adrian Zimadzynski, excuse me if I mispronounced that. But I'm with them, of course, because the last thing you want to do is publish some law firm info on your site, and then the law firm actually sues you, and they have the power to do it 24/7. But it looks like Maze Group first names the hack companies on his website, and if they do not pay, publishes a small part of the stolen data as proof and keeps releasing increasingly sensitive parts of it over time. When a firm pays, the group removes his name from the website. It looks like this guy Callow, and that's why I was actually scrolling up to look for his name. Couldn't see it off the top, but it looks like Callow also said that the group has also published data in Russian hacking forums with a note to, quote, use this information in any nefarious way that you want, unquote. Because of this, he believes that more data will be published unless the hack firms pay. He also explains it seems highly unlikely that a criminal enterprise will actually delete what it may be able to monetize at a later date. That is what I wanted to get on. Highly unlikely. If they can get 2 million off of you, they're going to delete it. No, if anything, they might hold on to that for another year or two. And then say, hey, you know what? I know what we said. We need another $250,000 this month. And you know what? Let me stop playing. Another 3 months, we're going to need another $250,000. We could just do this for forever, right? That's the dangerous part of this ransomware. It is literally a coin flip to say, if I give these guys my $2 million, will they give everything back and will they delete their copy and take everything off the website? Again, criminals are going to criminal. So it's such a dangerous game. It's like if you don't do it, they're definitely going to release it. If you do it, they can release everything and keep your $2 million, which, I mean, it might be even worse, right? So it's tough to see what's going to happen. Of course, the even scarier part is the people who've done business with these 5 law firms, because even though the law firm might want to do one thing, hey, we might want to pay or we might not want to pay, what are all your clients are going to say? What do they want, right? So I'm sure this is going to get pretty convoluted. It's been crazy. Ransomware has been going on strong now, literally since, like I said, end of 2016, 2017. And it looks like, as I already stated here, it says, instead of just encrypting it at the end of 2019, now cyber criminals are threatening the victims with release of the data to extort payment. So again, criminals are going to criminal. It's getting even more sophisticated. So All those cybersecurity tips we say, people, make sure you have your two-factor authentication on. Make sure the only way to change your the port of your cell phone is to go in with your photo ID and do everything at the desk, right? You don't want anybody getting a hold of your cell phone number and your first and last name and then calling up the company and social engineering a little quick port flip, right? So make sure you're up to date on all this cyber security stuff we always talk about on the show, because it is a big deal in this space, as you all know. What's going on? Meet the troll. Say, I wonder how is the ransom actually paid? Well, I can tell you from personal experience. There's no need to look. I mean, I'm not sure. I can't remember how in depth you got into. I know Bitcoin A started writing about some of this in his book. But yeah, we've experienced the ransomware side of things of the house. We paid that tuition. And yeah, you paid in Bitcoin. I mean, you legit paid in Bitcoin. Sometimes they want one of the privacy coins, usually Monero or something. But you pay it, and the way it works is that they're supposed to release everything. But like I said, from my personal experience, that does not happen. So I would hate to kick up from my experience, if I was like the CEO of these law firms, as bad as it would suck, especially to all my clients, that information is in the wind. Once it's hacked, it's hacked. I mean, think of it this way. What if I say, I'll give you the $2 million, and then another criminal says, I'll give you $1 million. Well, I just got a $3 million win. I can get the 2 from him and then just sell it to him. You can't find me anyway, right? You can't trust them. So I say they don't pay it. This information is a win. The best thing they can do is contact all their clients ASAP and get the changing passwords and codes, or walking up to the police station, letting them know that their guilty verdicts and conversations are out on the dark web or something. I don't know. Let's see. Yes, make sure you smash that like and share, people. Meet the Troll say, yeah, why not Monero? I'm not sure. It's actually pretty interesting. A lot of them ask for Bitcoin. To be honest, I think a lot of them might not know about Monero. Which is kind of crazy. It doesn't seem right, like the cybersecurity, cyber criminals. A lot of them really aren't like cyber criminal experts or cybersecurity experts or nothing. They're people who are on the dark web, who have money, who buy the exploit. And usually when you buy the exploit, depending on where you get it from, they'll actually tell you how to execute it too. So if all you really had to do, or if all I had to do was go on the dark web or whatever, buy some type of exploit I'm trying to think of something that's relatively inexpensive, because iPhone exploits and Macs are pretty expensive, Microsoft's as well. But let's say, I don't know, an old Cricket phone or something, I don't know, right? Something insignificant or easy to crack into. Let's say I buy that exploit for a couple $1,000s. I can also reach out to that person who sells and say, now how to execute it. And they would say, this is what you need to do. Put it in the email, put it here, do this, add this pop-up or whatever. So it's one of those things where just because a person knows how to operate the ransomware doesn't mean they know about Monero. They just know ransomware. I don't want them to send me no money via bank account. I can't get no cash if I'm overseas or I'm using VPNs. So just have them send it to me Bitcoin. To me, that shows their inexperience, that they're actually using Bitcoin. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. Joe Mama said we need a true decentralized exchange. No fiat currency, only crypto to crypto. Oh my goodness. You already know this, man. It's way overdue. All right. And some other news, not great news. Consensus cut an additional 14% of staff, and they aim to split into 2, basically, which they're doing. By the way, I think it's a great idea the way they're doing it. Looks like blockchain software company Consensus let go of an additional chunk of its staff while splitting its focus into 2 separate directions. Looks like they cut their employee base again roughly by 14%, down by 14%. The company announced today, February 4th. Headquartered in New York, Consensus has also decided to split the company. Part of the operation will continue in the software sector, while the other part pursues investment endeavors, the press release said. I think this is a great idea. This is something almost every company in the crypto space needs, period. Because what we have seen in the past, time and time again, I'm looking at you, Bittrex, is a bunch of developers trying to actually run the actual business. That's not what they do. That's not their expertise. Their expertise is developing, which is why they should develop and have someone else run the business. We saw that with Coinbase as they started to grow and mature. What do? They got the guy from TD Ameritrade. They got some people from Facebook. They got some people from Goldman Sachs. They got people from everywhere, right? All these executives that might not know anything about cryptocurrency or the space, but they do understand business. They do understand congested networks, not just a blockchain network, but anything that can get congested. They understand how to scale. They understand how to get investments, how to stay on course for regulations for bigger companies like this. They know these things, whereas a developer, they're really good at developing. I wouldn't expect them to know all that stuff I just listed because more or less, they haven't done it. They've been developing. That's why they're so great at that. So I think this is a good idea. I think we'll also see this from other companies, not just Currencies, where we've already seen a lot of layoffs the last couple of years because of the bear market. But as this market continues to mature, I think we'll see more companies say, all right, whether you're the CEO or not, we're also going to have a business team in here. If you're the CEO and you're a developer, great. You lead that part of our operation, making us a great product. We're still going to bring in this C-suite team of business professionals and executives. And it looks like they might not brought in an additional team, but they definitely split the team up that they already have. And again, maybe you don't need to bring in a new team, but you definitely need to make the difference between your product and the business side of the house. And that's what they're doing instead of merging everything together. So again, this is Currencies, 14%. Coming about right now, and again at the end of was December 2018, January 19, they did that 13% cut. So altogether, looking at about 27% of what we know job cuts from Currencies. They weren't the only company. Again, a lot of this is from the bear market people. 2017, we just talked about it. You had to scale fast. You had to hire any and everybody who wanted to be involved in crypto to make sure your business is seeded as well. I mean, how crazy is that? Within a span of 12 to 14 months, you had to hire a lot of people to stay successful or at least to stay alive. And then you had to fire a lot of people to at least stay successful or stay alive, literally within a 14-month period. So it's crazy to see that, and they're continuing to deal with it. So, but shout out Currencies. They've been doing a great job. I want to see how these new divisions turn about. Again, one is to continue in the software building, and the other is to work on the venture side of the table. And again, I'm not making this up. The fact that they just now split it into two divisions shows the misdirection for how many years, right? This should never have been merged together anyway. It should never have been merged. I'm assuming that, like most crypto companies, they started off with a small team. So you don't have a choice but to merge everything. We're all going to do this together. Like whoever has 5 minutes of free time is going to work on that today type of deal. But they should never been merged. And that's with many businesses out there. It's not just them. Again, I talked about Bittrex. They are a prime example. And that's why they're failing and have been failing for a while, is because they, unlike Coinbase, Gemini, BitMEX, any other big exchange, even Uphold, unlike some of these places out there, they decided to keep everything to themselves, only the developers. And by the way, while they had other jobs, I think they were still working full time at Google and a couple other places, right? So that's what happens though. Your business begins to fail because you're not an expert. The business side isn't your niche. So I'm glad to see Currencies do this. Again, two teams now, software side and the venture side of the table. I'm sure they're going to bounce back. I'm sure they're going to bounce back from this, and they're going to do great because they actually now have the business divided. Each team knows where to go with it. And I think that streamlined effort is going to help a lot. So we'll see. What's going on? Trust Truth. Yes, long time. We are live. Only way we do it. Come on now. Only way we do it usually. Unless it's an interview. And that's only because of the connection now that the live stream on YouTube, the Google Hangouts got removed. So other than that, we usually try to go live. All right, last but certainly not least, good news story. Blockone puts $200,000 up for grabs in Puzzle Smart Contract Challenge. Great artwork by Cointelegraph as always. Blockone announced a smart contract blockchain puzzle touting a $200,000 prize for whoever figures it out. There it is, people, another way to pay for your year. It looks like in this challenge, participants must create a EOS.IO smart contract which can store and invoke EVM Solidity smart contracts in a virtual Ethereum-like environment. And this was from a February 3rd announcement on EOS.IO's dev post, which was detailed. Looks like, of course, the EOS.IO platform was built by a company known as Blockone. It hosts the EOS crypto asset, and as a delegated proof of stake blockchain touting smart contracts, developers can build decentralized apps on EOS.IO, something we just talked about. It looks like this competition will expire in 1 year, so you have an entire year to figure out what smart contracts are, what Blockone does, EOS.IO blockchain. You have a year to figure all this out unless someone does it before you, of course. But this competition will expire in 1 year if no one solves the puzzle. The competition ends as soon as someone finishes the puzzle, with the first entity to finish the puzzle receiving the reward. So again, the rules require the use of EOS/IO smart contracts in accordance with specific technical requirements, and it looks like judges will examine entries roughly every 90 days. So again, 90 days. Like right now, you have 3 months to get on this if this is your bailiwick, and you have just as much a chance as anyone else because they're going to be looking at them all at the same time in 3 months. So that's pretty cool to see. Shout out to Blockone for this $200,000 Puzzle Smart Contract Challenge prize. That is very cool to see. And again, we continue to see these type of things in the crypto space. It's nothing but good, and it's definitely going to bring that mass adoption about. Trust Truth said, my brand is hurting already. Your brand or brain? Because I wasn't sure if you're talking about the grand mumble or brand, your brain. But other than that, as always, people, thanks for watching. Make sure you smash that like and share. Tomorrow's going to be a very tight day, so we will try to get a show in the morning. But if not, watch one of these replays, watch one of these interviews. We have tons of videos up, and we will see you all later on this week. Other than that, again, make sure you smash that like and share. And as always, thanks for watching and continue support. Cheers.